Welcome back to the LDS Player for another Overwatch video. Today I want to celebrate the release of the game on Switch, as Overwatch is easily the best first-person shooter in my opinion. And what better way to celebrate this amazing game than to rank all the heroes? Before we get started with this video, I'd like to acknowledge that due to all the different variety of heroes, it can be kind of hard to rank them at times. Also, this is simply my overall opinion, may not be the best overall characters or the truth of the current meta, and do not let my opinion affect how you play the game. I love all the heroes in this game. Anyway, enough talking, let's get the show on the road. At number 31, we have Bastion. Bastion can do decent damage with mobile in his recon configuration. He's capable of doing up to 320 damage per second. He can also heal back tons of health per second with his self-repair ability whenever it is needed. His ultimate, Configuration Tank, also allows you to do more than 200 damage with each explosive shot for a full 8 seconds. Be sure to put his self-knockback to use to get to a higher ledge. This can be great for keeping an objective. But best of all, Bastion is very capable of taking down key targets, especially when behind a barrier like Orissa's or Sigma's, due to his extremely rapid firing ability during Configuration Sentry. This mode allows him to reduce his damage by 20% and allow him to take up to 450 damage in a second. This can one-shot the majority of tanks at close range. To fully utilize his strengths, be sure to stick with a tank that can shield you and a healer, preferably Mercy, that can constantly heal you. However, even being amazing at keeping objectives, he is an annoying character to use in most situations. He's extremely slow, and doing major damage requires you to be both immobile and leaves you for easy flanking damage. Due to the extra damage boost when hitting his back during his Configuration Sentry, you basically always need to be backed away in a wall with a shield or healer providing you infinite health. Overall, Bastion is a master at protecting an objective if protected correctly, but ends up being the most boring character with his incredibly slow movement speed and immobility. Up next, at number 30, we have Widowmaker. Don't take this the wrong way, I mostly dislike Widowmaker because I absolutely suck at sniping, honestly. But anyway, to the pros. Widowmaker is unbeatable in sniping, as she can use her grappling hook to get basically anywhere to snipe. Her sniping does major damage, dealing 2.5 times as much damage with a headshot as opposed to the normal double damage. This can most likely one-shot any damage hero with the exception of Bastion, as it is able to do over 300 damage per second if charged correctly. Her rapid primary fire is also quite powerful, as it can effectively deal up to 260 damage per second. When using Widowmaker, be sure to target weaker heroes before tanks, or else they will notice you and team up to kill you. Also, do not stay in the same spot and always be on the move, or else the enemies may anticipate your sniping. Last of all, utilize her Venomine and her Infrasight ultimate to find targets and get a quick kill on them. Now to the cons. Her Venomine is an extremely weak damage dealer, only doing 75 damage in a total time of 5 seconds. Also, at least for me, her scope is very hard to see out of, and the charging symbols are quite distracting, but that's just my opinion. Last of all, her Infrasight goes away right after she dies, so it is imperative that you use it at the right time. They can ensure survivability before going in for some snipes. Overall, Widowmaker is an unbeatable force, especially when defending the objective, that can track down targets very easily and one-shot the majority of heroes with a quick headshot. But she requires very accurate shots as a sniper, which I'm not great at, the sole reason I rated her this low. At number 29, we have Diva. Okay, I know I already put Widowmaker low on this list, so putting Diva down here also is probably going to give me some dislikes. Then again, remember, this is just my overall opinion. For the pros, Diva is a master at blocking all sorts of projectiles with her defense matrix, including a wide variety of powerful ultimates. Her defense matrix makes her invincible from the front while still allowing her to fire missiles at the same time. Her micro missiles ability can do around 125 damage in just a couple of seconds, which is actually quite powerful for a tank. These missiles can also be used during Diva's primary fire, which already does around 300 damage and consumes no ammo, leading to a grand total of about 425 damage at close range. Using a combination of these two abilities, you can easily kill the likes of Bastion and probably even Brigitta. And ultimately, once the enemies shave away your hefty 600 health due to eject, you basically get a second life. This ability allows you to play as D.Va without her mech, which honestly I'd much rather be outside her mech than inside it due to extra mobility. But, however, most people disagree, as she now has a minor 150 health and only is capable of doing around 200 damage per second with her gun, which is very similar to Mercy's. Best of all, she can use a boost ability to fly forward and do minor damage while still being able to use other artillery, such as micro missiles and again, her primary fire. When paired with her ultimate self-destruct, you can send your mech into a group of unwary opponents, leading to their untimely demise. For the cons, D.Va seems more like a damage character than a tank, and she does not have any way to protect her team other than the short-lived defense matrix ability. Her weapons are not really that far range, so you always have to get close for any decent damage. Last of all, D.Va's ultimate is so easy to dodge, as you just have to get behind any sort of object to dodge it. Overall, D.Va is an amazing way to deal mediocre damage, tons of survivability, but risking the team's tank slots on an offensive character. At number 28, we have Pharah. Pharah is very unique due to her ability to fly while raining damage from above. She can easily slay any hero in just a few shots with her rocket launcher, dealing 120 damage in a wide explosive radius. She can also knock herself or enemies out of the battle with her concussion blast, especially useful in racking up her ultimate with environmental kills. She can also jump to extreme heights with her jump jet ability, allowing her to conserve fuel and fly in the sky longer. When using Pharah, be sure to rapidly tap while flying instead of holding down the controls to maximize survivability, but this form of flying is much more unpredictable. Also, make sure to use her ultimate unpredictably and not where the rest of the enemy team can see you, preferably on the ground behind your team, or fighting a single target right above them to maximize the damage. And she can do 3,600 damage overall if she lands every single micro rocket. She is also the most useful, though, to fly above tanks and destroy them to disable their shields and let the rest of your team take down the vulnerable enemies. Even in her powers, she also has some downsides. First off, her flying patterns are very predictable, making it very easy to be sniped, suppressed, or even hit by another rocket launcher. Second of all, her flying is not very smooth or fun. For example, if you've ever played Star Wars Battlefront 2, you can see the difference between Pharah and Boba Fett. Boba Fett is so much more fun in my opinion. But anyway, on to the next con. Last of all, Pharah's rocket launcher has a very slow projectile speed, making it hard to hit enemies from afar, making it much more reliant at point-blank range. But be careful, as she can damage herself. Overall, Pharah is best at taking down single targets in midair, attacking large groups from behind, flying over choke points for crazy ambushes, racking up environmental kills, and shredding tanks at point-blank range with powerful rockets, but being wary of how often you fly so you don't get killed too easily. Taking the number 27 spot is Reaper. Reaper is easily the strongest short-range character, and when Reaper comes, you are basically dead. Unless you are pro, that is. His shotguns are extremely powerful, allowing to almost one-shot any damage or support hero. Reaper can 2 or 3 shot any tank also with his guns. He can do almost 225 damage per second. Although his best asset is that he heals back almost half the damage he does with his shotguns. This means Reaper can technically heal around 100 damage with each of his shots, which is almost half his health. This makes him unbeatable at short range, and that is before taking abilities into account. He can also use his Shadow Step ability to reach vantage points to ambush unwary opponents, save himself after being knocked off a cliff, or even deliberately jump off a cliff to create a quick detour to an objective. If he is ever on low health, he can also use Wraith form to get behind an enemy so he can easily heal back more health, or create a reliable escape route to find a health pack. Last of all, his ultimate ability, Death Blossom, can basically guarantee a kill to an enemy near him, making him essentially impervious to attacks while it is going due to the healing. Although, as he is a short-range character, he has quite a bit of downsides. Reaper cannot contribute to long-range fights, and even though he has a way to teleport into the battle, it has a decently long recharge time and it leaves you vulnerable to attacks, so people can camp while waiting for you to appear in the chosen location. This also is not worth it in choke point face-offs, as he will probably get targeted by the rest of the team, losing a valuable team member. If you had decided to choose somebody who was not Reaper, they would be able to stay behind the safety of the team shield and survive an onslaught of attacks. Due to limited range, he's not widely used in professional play or even higher competitive ranks. Although the reason I dislike Reaper is he requires absolutely no skill to use and he's extremely annoying to fight against. If this is not the case, Reaper will probably be in my top 10. Overall, Reaper is the best short-range character and is extremely useful in taking down the other team's tanks, but he's not as reliable as more long-range type characters. Ranked at number 26, we have Mei. This is a weird one for me, because Mei was one of my favorites when I started playing last Christmas, and I really enjoyed the Christmas arcade modes that were available that featured her. But as I played the game more, I realized just how annoying she is to fight against, how easy she is to play as, which I really like challenging characters like Doomfist and Sombra now. This really affected my like for Mei, so now she is placed here. If I were to make this a year ago, she would be in my top 5, but maybe Bastion or Reaper would too. Anyway, enough talk. Mei is extremely good at slaying any character, but mostly support and damage characters. She can easily slow down and freeze characters while doing about 50 damage per second at the same time. Then you can easily use your alternate fire melee range to their head, and they will be dead. No rhyme intended. She is also an effective defender, as she can create an ice wall to protect her team from damage. even if you place it in a very annoying place. The wall can also be used to raise you and other teammates to a higher point. This ability is amazing, especially for snipers like Hanzo and Ana, who have no really easy way to get high sniping points. Also, if she is ever dying in short range, just use her Cairo freeze ability and you will be safe and sound while healing all your health back. This is really useful during her ultimate, Blizzard, as it freezes a large area, and you can guarantee survivability by freezing yourself to protect from non-frozen opponents. After you unfreeze, you can pick off the frozen opponents and perhaps guarantee a team kill, although she comes with some downsides. Similar to Reaper, she isn't as useful as other characters at long range, but at least she has great sniping capability at some times. She also does not have that much damage until she freezes an enemy, so if a good team composition is backing up the freezing victim, the Mei player will go down in seconds. Overall, Mei is one of the best characters in the game, easily killing anything with her icy powers, but she's extremely easy to use. Stealing number 25 spot is Symetra. Symetra, just like Reaper and Mei, is just too easy for my liking. However, she is so good at protecting objectives with their insane sentry turrets. You can't even imagine the time before their rework when she had 6 turrets. Her primary fire is also insane, taking down enemies as it gradually gets stronger and stronger until it can do 180 damage per second. Her primary fire also can get past abilities like Defense Matrix and Deflect. It also uses no ammunition against barriers. Also, her teleporter ability lets her get in even closer to utilize her powerful primary fire, and it also lets her teleporter turrets to unsuspecting enemies. She can also do decent sniping damage to conserve health or wait to restore her shield to their secondary fire, a powerful explosive bomb that you can charge to do even more damage. Up to 120 damage when fully charged, it can do 50 damage with rapid orbs. Last of all, Symetra can defend the team with her map-wide ultimate that can protect from almost all damage easily. Nevertheless, she has quite a bit of downsides. She has a much weaker weapon than most DPS characters, making her very reliant on her sentry turrets. Her alternate fire is also considerably weaker than her long-range secondary fire, so you must get in close. Overall, Symetra must get in close to the primary fire, only using her secondary fire if needed at range, protecting the objective with her turrets to fully utilize her usefulness. Ranked at number 25 is Mercy. Mercy is probably the best healer overall, as she can easily heal without effort, fly to nearby allies, resurrect allies, and if she isn't needed to heal, she can damage buff any DPS character for insane damage, the best being the likes of Pharah and Bastion. Also, she has quite a bit more survivability than some other characters, so her passive ability constantly restores her health. Her ability to buff allies' damage and revive is quite a bit more useful than a speed boost, buffing healing and stopping healing, and giving armor, like Lucio, Ana, and Brigitta, respectively. This is very important if your main tank dies, because you can revive them and get right back into the battle without having to suffer the chances of a team kill. Although, Mercy has some downsides also. Despite being the best healer, she can only heal one ally at a time, which healers like Lucio and Ana do not have to suffer from. She also has one of the weaker DPS in the game, which is just slightly more damage than the always weak baby Diva, but it is still actually quite useful in attacking if no healing is needed anywhere. Her damage buffing is also probably less useful than Zenyatta's Orb of Discord, as Orb of Discord allows to better kill a single target, whereas the damage boost allows to kill multiple targets but with less efficiency. And in most cases, you want to focus all targets on a shield or weakened tank character, so you can get past the other team's defenses. Overall, Mercy is the best healer for single targets, but does not have the team-wide capability of other support characters. We have Brigitta at the number 24 spot. Brigitta is very different than she was before the Sigma update, as now she is a much better healer but has a weaker shield. This makes her a much better fit for her role. Brigitta is a fun character to use, as she is one of the 2 melee characters in the game. Her Inspire ability is awesome, as it's based off how much damage you do to the enemy team, so keep close to your allies while in a team fight. She can also throw 3 repair packs for an awesome quick heal and armor bonus, so she has some pretty effective ways to heal. She's also great in immobilizing enemies with her shield bash and doing quick range damage and knocking enemies off cliffs with her whip shot. Last of all, Brigitta can use Rally to provide a speed and defense boost to all the allies nearby to keep the team alive and thriving. However, Brigitta is not the strongest healer, and her really short armor boosts are not as useful as other boosts granted by support heroes. Also, Brigitta's shield is so much weaker to account for her newly added healing ability, so she cannot survive close to that long, which is even worse, judging she's a melee-oriented character. Her weapon is also just a bit weaker than Reinhardt's, due to a slightly weaker DPS and a smaller size. Overall, Brigitta is great at stunning and racking up them environmental kills, above average support character damage, but she is not as good of a healer as other support characters or close to as good as a defender with her shield as a tank. We got Reinhardt at number 23. Reinhardt is probably the best defensive tank, as he can sustain upwards of 2,000 damage with his barrier field. He is easily the best character in modes like Assault and Escort where you take a linear path, as he effectively stops enemies from getting behind choke points or from hitting enemies on the Escort. Reinhardt is also pretty fun to use, as he is also a melee character like Brigitta, but he can also do range damage with the powerful Fire Strike ability, and do major damage or one-shot heroes with his charge ability. He also has the amazing Earth Shatter ultimate, which leads all enemies in his path afflicted into a stunned state, allowing you to finish them off with his other abilities. However, never abandon your team by using these abilities. Only use Fire Strike to finish off weakened tanks or supports like Mercy, or use Charge to get in and out of the fight or crush enemies when your team is not in need of protection. But most importantly, be sure to hide away whenever your shield is at low health so your shield can be recharged to protect your teammates later in the fight. Don't risk your shield breaking, even if that means losing an ally, or else you'll die along with the rest of your teammates. Nonetheless, even with all these powerful defensive and offensive abilities, Reinhardt has a heap of downsides. Reinhardt is probably the weakest tank in terms of damage. He cannot even attack while defending like all other tanks can. This means that Reinhardt is practically useless in modes like Capture and many arcade modes, so use Zarya, Wrecking Ball, Roadhog, or D.Va in these modes. Overall, Reinhardt is the best defender, but he is not as damaging as other tanks, and he is not as useful in many various game modes. The number 21 ranking goes to Torbjorn. Torbjorn is only rivaled by Bastion and Symetra in protecting objectives, as his turret is extremely easy to sustain, do a load of damage with its ability to never miss. Torb can easily survive tons of attacks due to his armor granting overload, and if you place his turret in the correct spot, you can protect from potential flankers. His turret is also a bit more reliable than Symetra's, as his can be healed back easily with his Forge Hammer, which also can do some decent damage at melee range. Also, his primary weapon is really underrated. It is probably one of the best in the game. He can either fire medium range rivets for up to 140 damage per shot, or fire a shotgun-esque short range fire for upwards of 250 damage. He's actually a pretty powerful character, as he can be on the defensive while hammering away at his turret to slay enemy teams, or by sniping from afar, or by going on the offensive with his powerful alternate fire while in an overload mode. Last of all, he can suspend the enemy team from passing through choke points by using his ultimate Molten Core to force enemies into losing tons of health just to continue the objective. Now for his cons. I think Torbjorn would be so much more fun if they heavily buffed his hammer, as I love the concept of melee weapons, and all the melee weapons in Overwatch are much too weak, with something more like Genji's Dragon Blade being what I want for a character's melee weapon. Also, Torbjorn is heavily reliant on his turret sometimes, making him a bit less fun to use. Overall, Torbjorn is one of the best defense characters in the game, but his playstyle is really not that fun sometimes. Barely making the number 20 spot on this list is Winston. Winston is a very mobile tank, as he can leap around and easily make a quick escape when in peril. This can be easily paired with his barrier projector ability to defend your team by leaping at them whenever they need it. Its Tesla cannon is amazing at taking out large groups of enemies, as it can hit the whole enemy team at once. Or rest results, jump into the enemy backlines, hitting a target with melee as soon as you land, and going for some damage before leaping out of the battle. Also, if there is ever a single DPS character alone, you can easily go for the kill. Last of all, his primal range ultimate is great at knocking enemies off an objective or even getting environmental kills. Be sure to use his ultimate when at low health to maximize its effectiveness and chance of survivability. Now for the cons. Don't get me wrong. I love the idea of leaping around the map as a giant ape and electrifying enemies into absolute oblivion, but Winston is really not my favorite character for many reasons. The first is that his weapon is just so weak. In fact, as the worst DPS in the game, is even behind Torb's hammer. But secondly, his shield is considerably weaker than most other shields and can be taken down extremely quickly. Overall, Winston is best used to disrupt the backlines, jump to and slay snipers, and protect his team with mobility. We have Lucio at the number 19 spot. Lucio is one of the most useful healers, as he can easily heal the entire team while still providing damage and protection. He can also easily get into the fight, unlike many of the other supports, due to his amazing crossfade and wall ride abilities. This makes Lucio essential when playing any competitive mode, and especially modes like Capture the Flag. He also has one of the best ultimates in the game, Sound Barrier, as it can basically make your team invincible for a good chunk of time. Lucio is also decent with his weapon, as he can easily get environment kills to charge up his ultimate easily, knock enemies off the objective, or send enemies flying while predicting their movements for a powerful burst of damage. Just like always, however, there are also some cons to Lucio. Lucio is easily the worst at instant single target healing, so make sure you have another support like Mercy or Mora on your team. He also is very hard to do damage with if you do not have good aim and reflexes, making it imperative to speed around enemies at close range to ensure hits against the enemy team. Overall, Lucio is an amazing healer that can always benefit the team, but he cannot heal single targets very easily or do that much easy damage that the other support characters can do. We have Wrecking Ball rolling into the number 18 spot. Okay, that was a stupid pun, if you could even call it a pun. Anyhow, Wrecking Ball is easily the fastest, most mobile tank in Overwatch. He is a worthy off-tank that can do quite a bit of damage. He's especially great in control maps with the pillar in the middle of the objective, as he can ram into enemies and constantly keep them off it. He can survive for a long time with his adaptive shield ability, as it buffs him for each nearby enemy, allowing him to ensure survival. Make sure to utilize his amazing pile driver ability often, as it keeps Wrecking Ball doing fluid amounts of damage. This is because it is one of the easiest ways to leave enemies vulnerable for attack, and it does a heap of damage as well. Last of all, Wrecking Ball can easily survive in his amazing ball form due to getting rid of his headshot zone. Make sure to turn into ball form whenever you need to reload, because it leaves you quicker and less vulnerable to getting killed. But as always, he has quite a bit of cons. His weapons run out of ammo extremely fast, requiring him to use his ball form very often. He also does not have the defensive capabilities of other tanks, and his best ability cannot be used that often, and you have to be in the air to use him. Overall, Wrecking Ball is a great tank for killing foes and protecting objectives, but not for protecting teams. Being hooked into the number 17 spot is Roadhog. Okay, I need to stop with the stupid lines. Roadhog is a really good off-tank that is really good at carrying matches. He can easily kill any damaged support characters and most tank characters very easily. He is capable of both short and medium range damage with his primary and alternate fires. With one of these shots after his hook and a melee, you will instantly kill the majority of characters. He can also basically negate his chance of dying with Take a Breather. With halves all damage done to him, heals back a ton of health. Roadhog should either fight at mid-range with his alternate fire while his hook is charging, or for more precise firing, and should only use his primary fire at melee range, especially when hooking into damage or support character. He is very useful, and his hook is very fun to use and fight with, but he is extremely easy to use, and again, I like more challenging characters. Overall, Roadhog is an amazing character that should be used as a tank to support the team with his massive health and destroy all sorts of heroes with his powerful arsenal of abilities and attacks. Falling into the action at number 16, just out of the number 15 spot, is Ashe. Ashe has a pretty fun balance between sniping and close range combat. At least in my opinion, her primary fire is so much better than Widow's, which is one reason I prefer Ashe. She can also easily get to high elevations with her coach gun, which is not quite as good as grappling hook, but it definitely has its uses. Speaking of her coach gun, she can also easily get environmental kills and do quite powerful amounts of damage at close range with that ability. Also, she has a powerful dynamite ability, which, if exploded correctly, can do up to a total of 175 damage over time, almost killing a damaged support character, and they can be finished off with a quick RT. Last of all, she has the powerful ultimate Bob, who can act as another entity for the objective or easily slay unprotected enemies. However, she has her disadvantages. Ashe easily has the worst reload in the game, making her have to take cover whenever she wants to reload. And in a fast-paced game like Overwatch, you do not want a sniper who has an insane reload time. Other than that though, Ashe is a very solid damage character. Overall, Ashe is great at adapting to the situation by getting snipes at medium range and rapidly firing at close range, dealing crowd damage with her dynamite, and getting environmental kills with her coach gun. Well everybody, this video is getting a bit long, so I'd like to conclude this video for now. Tomorrow I will be releasing part 2, where I will review the top 15 characters that were not mentioned in this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell for more Overwatch videos. I really love making you guys videos, but I need some support if I plan to continue my channel regularly. Anyway, be sure to check out this channel for part 2 tomorrow. Well guys, I'm out.